Fantasy Draft, the only rake-free daily fantasy site, brings the heat again with a $150,000 guaranteed rake-free contest, the Hooters Main Event. This is the largest and only rake-free contest of its kind you'll find for Week 16. And remember, only on Fantasy Draft are 100% of the entry fees paid to contestant winners. Sign up at fantasydraft.com with referral code WBLZ, and you'll get a free 7-day trial membership.
Ironic Radio proudly presents Daily Fantasy Sports, Fantasy Foreplay, powered by DailyFantasyLines.com.
Play action. Minshew wide open for the touchdown.
Broncos jump. Free play for Rodgers. He knows where to go with it. For Valdez-Scantling. In the end zone. It's a Packer touchdown. Jamal Agnew was benched a week ago in the win over the Chargers. But back in there today, a dangerous return man is Agnew, and he's across midfield, and he might take this one all the way. He will take it all the way. Jamal Agnew, 100 yards. No penalty flags on the field.
And the flea flicker. Carr has an open receiver, and it's J.J. Nelson. And Nelson is in for the score. Mahomes looking to throw it. He will. Delivers downfield. Catch made. McCall Hardman. Goodbye. A blur. Touchdown, Kansas City. On 4th and 5. Jones steps up. Takes off. He's in. Touchdown. Prescott to the end zone. Touchdown. It's another one for Amari Cooper. Baltimore Ravens on the move. Back to the bread and butter. Slashing is Ingram. Mark Ingram, a stiff arm, and he paddles inside the pylon. Touchdown, Baltimore.
Philip Lindsay, is he stopped? No! Touchdown, Broncos!
That's picked off. They're going to come the other way. And this is Jamal Adams with a block and a pick six.
59 seconds to go. Kyle Allen over the middle. That one is complete. DJ Moore in for the touchdown. Travels to the 47. And Harris with a little wiggle. And there he goes. Deontay Harris going to take it the distance.
I don't believe what I just saw.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to DFS Fantasy Foreplay on this week number 16. We have a great show planned for you. We're going to break down both Saturday Only Slate and the Sunday Main Slate. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
I am doing very well.
Yeah, we know you're doing well. Mr. Cash everywhere this past week. Hey,
Except-
I did well last
except the
weekend.
NFL.
I saved my ass again with cash. It seems to be like the best thing I can possibly do is leverage everything I'm doing based on my cash plays. I'm building amazing cash lineups this season. They just aren't GPP lines, and I'm okay with that. I ended up taking home like 200 in DK, 100 in FanDuel. Our line over here, we got destroyed last week. The Jimmy G, Deebo Samuel, Raheem Mostert line did not cash us any money. Deebo Samuel did nothing. Jarvis Landry did nothing. Webby, how did you do last week?
I cashed in one tournament only on DraftKings. The bets we talked about.
Yeah, you had a heartbreak.
Had a heartbreak. Did clean house on the Saints.
So you lost out on $800 on the final second of a game? And
$938 on the final second of the Niners game.
now, do you still get, you still get the $100 back because you just missed the one, or did you totally lose the bet?
Totally lost the bet because to get your money back with your parlay insurance, it has to be like a Cinderella loss. Like a team that you took in your parlay that was under or, wasn't expected to win at all. You can get your money back that way. That's kind of like their fine print.
Oh, it's to encourage you to take a shot at something on an underdog. I got it. Okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
wasn't Atlanta not expected to win that game? I mean, wasn't that that fills the requirement.
I think
They were the underdog in the game.
Yeah, but I think the money line was too high on the Niners at minus 480.
Okay.
The big one in that was the Patriots at minus 530. So yeah, the Eagles covered it. Obviously, they won. Vikings won. Patriots won. Green Bay won. The Giants won. And I lost on the Niners in the final. I don't know. I guess you would really call it 10 seconds, even though it was only 1 second with the time they added back and however long it took to run 3 plays.
You were so mad.
But I was pissed, yeah.
I get a text message from him, Dan, and he's like, I hit the parlay. And all of a sudden, I get another text message that's basically like, fucking Julio Jones. I hate the NFL. They can all go rot in a dumpster. I'm like, wow, talk about a swing of emotions over there. I'm glad I'm not watching football with you today.
Yeah, he also put that up on the Slack emotions. So, speaking of parlays, we look forward to bringing you some additional coverage. We'll probably, we haven't really ironed it all out on how it's going to work, but a new DFS site called Prize Picks reached out to me, and I wrote one article for them this week. And basically, it's the concept of parlay betting, except you're doing over-under on DFS projections for a player, where you can pick 2, 3, or 4 players. And they have, like, if you pick 4 players and you get them right, either over or under their projections, you get 10-to-1 return on your money. But then they have it, if you can do it, where if you only get 3 right, you get 5-to-1, but you get 1 point. You get 5-to-1 if all 4 hit, but you still get 1.5 if 3 hit. So it's they gave us some promotional money to play with, so we'll kind of do that and report back to you on how that goes.
And we'll be looking forward to having someone from the organization joining us probably after the season is over, before we jump into doing our playoff DFS, which is, we all look forward to doing that, and we have fun doing that. And this is just going to add another layer, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, where we're located, we can't play, so we're playing through you, Dan, and that's how we're going to roll this for the time being. So you will be the gatekeeper that will give you who we like in...
Oh, can I be the keymaster?
You can't be the keymaster. You live in Jersey.
Well, you said he was the gatekeeper, so I can be the keymaster. Never mind.
Okay.
All right, why don't we jump into this? Since we have multiple lineups to build today, why don't we get through...
Wait, I want to brag first, before we build.
You want to brag first?
Yes. So.
Well, you can brag after we put our assholes on the Hot Mess Express. Here we go. The 2 guys from our line that we can definitely put on there is Deebo Samuel. He had the best matchup last week out of any of the wide receivers and gave us a whopping 4.7 points. 8 rushing yards, 1 reception, 29 yards. Thanks for nothing, bro. I think it's your first foray on the Hot Mess Express. You're a rookie. Get used to it. You'll be back here often. Jarvis Landry, someone who we have had on the Express before. 5 receptions, 23 yards in a terrible Browns game that the Cardinals just totally took him to task. I believe that game was like 21-0 before even the middle of the second quarter.
Yep.
5 receptions, 23 yards, 7.3 points. Thanks for nothing. And the only other person that I really think we can put on here is... I mean, you could want to put Jimmy Garoppolo, 200 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 6 rushing yards, 12.6 points at 11.9, 4% owned. I mean, it was the good GPP play. He would no ownership.
Yeah.
Even Mike Williams at 1% owned. That was probably our call of the week right there.
Well, he was almost 2 times value.
And yeah, but at 1% owned, he was a great. This whole lineup, if this whole lineup had worked out, we could have taken down that tournament. It was constructed in a great way.
Yes. I agree.
Very, very low owned, high upside players. If Deebo turned around and had an amazing game, this lineup would have cashed easily.
Yeah, last week was an interesting week in the sense that I don't feel like, for the most part, the players that are on did did that poorly. I just missed the players that exploded. I mean, I wasn't on Kenyon Drake. I wasn't
I was
on
on him on DK.
Miles Sanders. And we talked about Saquon Barkley on the show being in a primo matchup, but he just hadn't really, done it much this year. So we didn't play him, and he outperformed Chris Carson. And some of the guys.
That 4 points is the $500.
But, I was on a guy like Derrick Henry who, 86 rushing yards isn't horrible, but no receptions, no touchdowns, only 8.6, playing hurt. And Leonard Fournette, who I liked more than I liked him more than Barkley because of his pass catching ability. Well, that's basically all he did. He had 5 receptions for 31 yards and rushed for another 32. So against the Raiders of all teams. So
I'd like to add one Mr. Phillip Rivers to the Hot Mess Express at 307 passing yards. Can only seem to find the end zone once. 3 interceptions.
1 fumble.
Fumble for a lost ball. Turnover.
A fumble for a touchdown.
Yeah. I know you're only 1% owned, and at 10 and change, it was a good look, especially against the Vikings.
And his week before was outstanding. So it's,
And you put up 15. Welcome to the Hot Mess Express.
Yeah, I can go there too. I'll give you another running back, Patrick Laird, the chalk of chalk, cheap chalk last week, everywhere. 7.4 points, 8 receiving yards, 40 rushing yards, 2 receptions.
It's Laird.
2 receptions for 8 yards. That's an average of 4 yards a reception.
It's Miami.
It is Miami, but he was going up against the Giants. Smash spot. It was a good play. He was cheap. He was the value. You need to create value somewhere.
Yeah. Then Boston Scott would have been the better play at value.
Probably. Another one I want to throw on there, wide receiver for Jacksonville, D.D. Westbrook, who we talked about extensively last week about being in a great spot, along with Chris Connolly, got a 4.1 points in a comeback win over the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, it was Connolly's day with 2 touchdowns.
Yep. Didn't you have him, Dan, in your line?
I did. I had that stack. So it was like, that's what I said. I felt like my approach wasn't like that was a great stack, cheap to build around. I just didn't pick the right other pieces to, if you throw it at Barkley instead of Fournette, or it would have been a superb lineup.
Yeah, I definitely, like in my DK line that scored the 185 points, I essentially game stacked the Atlanta San Fran game because I had Garoppolo.
Fuck that game.
I had Garoppolo, I had Deebo Samuel, and I had George Kittle, and I brought it back with Julio. So Kittle had a monster day at 29.4. Julio had a monster day at 41.4. And then my 2 running backs were Chris Carson at 29.7 and Kenyon Drake at 42.8. And then I had Laird in my flex, who gave me 7.4, did nothing for me. But basically my day was saved by Kittle, Jones, Drake, and Carson, who scored more than half of my points, those 4 players.
And it's funny because I like Kenyon Drake this week.
How can you not? Guy is playing. He left Miami, and all of a sudden he's like...
Well, it took a couple weeks, but yeah.
No, it didn't. The first game that he played, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, against San Fran.
Yeah, that was the first game he played.
Right, and then after that, nothing.
That's because they put him in that really crappy timeshare that was going on with, David Johnson and the other kid before he got hurt.
The second time around against San Fran, he did nothing. Got 16 touches and managed 67 yards. Oh, yeah, he had 7 targets for 13.
Let me see here. Anybody else
Carolina
that I can
was shut down in that game.
Here's a low-scoring line. I think this is the line where I tried to fit in all of Now, this was Kyler Murray, Chris Carson, Todd Gurley, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk, D.D. Westbrook, no. This line only scored 124 points, 129.6 points, and it was a good line. Last week's line were all blown up, though.
Yeah.
If you didn't have Drake, you didn't have Kittle or anybody like that, you weren't winning. You needed to have all those high flyers in order to cash out. I mean, you look at I haven't looked at it. If you look at the $1 Million Maker over at DK, I'm very curious to what that winning line had. Were you in that tournament? Webb?
Yes, I was. I was in DK, right?
Yeah, DK's $1 Million Maker.
Oh no, I didn't go in the $1 Million Maker.
Oh, you didn't go in the $1 Million Maker?
No.
Yeah, I didn't get into it. It was gone by the time I would have had the opportunity to.
Oh wait, I'm lying. I was in it. My line put up 102. No, I was in. I was in the showdown.
Oh, that was a showdown.
I was in the showdown for $1 million. I went with Michael Thomas as my captain, Jared Cook, Taysom Hill, T.Y. Hilton, Alvin Kamara, and Will Lutz. I put up 102 points.
The Steelers only got 6, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad. Take all the defenses in the league last week. They just decided that the offenses were going to rule the roost.
Yeah,
unless you had Minnesota.
Right.
Minnesota's defense because they scored touchdowns.
Yep, 6,000, 0%. 6,000 was the salary. It was like very low ownership, 0 to 1%, depending on which tournaments you were in. And they put up 27 points.
Yeah.
Patriots finally got back on track. Also at 7,100, 13% owned, 20 points.
Alrighty, why don't we jump into building ourselves some lineups for Saturday Only's games. At 1 p.m., you have the Texans versus the Buccaneers. At 4:30 p.m., you have the Bills Patriots. And at 8:15 tomorrow night, you have Rams 49ers.
Yeah.
Any one of these games.
I'm going to get my little brag session in here. So despite an absolutely horrible week in NFL, I just made $1,000 withdrawal from Fantasy Draft. I had, after winning the $400 the week before, I started dabbling in NHL, which I know nothing about, and went on I think it was a 6-game winning streak. I started with $5 bets, and it was up to the 25 one, and hit that for like 75, 50, 50. So it was like building my bankroll. And then last night, Fantasy Draft ran a promotion that if you were to roster LeBron and Giannis in their $25 tournament, they would give you 4 Hooters tickets worth $100 for the Sunday May event if you were to cash in that line. So I honestly don't know anything about basketball. Don't watch it. But I threw it in the Fantasy Pros Optimizer, LeBron, Giannis, kicked out players in tough matches, made sure it greened out. And lo and behold, it took down the entire tournament for $1,000. So you just never know.
Hey, man, that was a good tournament. That was a good play.
Yeah.
All right. Tomorrow, let's see here. I personally, you could go to any one of these games and pick a quarterback and play them. If they all have, the only game that I'm probably going to be underweight on is the Bills-Patriots game.
Yeah, I don't think Tom Brady is worth playing in that game. So I wouldn't say any quarterback. I think you're kind of, if you're to pick a quarterback, I really think it's either Winston or Watson, and
that's where
Tampa Bay is the game. Yeah,
agreed. I completely agree with that. If you look at the up here, I've already kind of put out a lineup. I put one out there for you guys to get the placeholder because I noticed there was only 1,000 people in the Hooter tournament this for the Saturday.
Yeah.
And I started it out here. I'll rattle it off for you guys. Watson, Gurley, Mostert, Hopkins, Brashard Perryman, O.J. Howard, George Kittle, James White, Houston Texans.
So, and then the one I did for the lineup because I wrote a Saturday Only article for us is Winston, Mostert, White, Hopkins, Kupp, Kittle. Actually, no, this is a different one. I'm sorry. It was what I was
lineups that he's not sharing with us, Web. You see
No, I hadn't played. I didn't.
Yeah,
it was when I
see that.
Changed. I did. So when I went to open up a new lineup, it came in. So let me see the one that I've actually submitted here. Here it is. It was Winston, Gurley, Mostert, Hopkins, Kupp, Kittle, Ronald Jones, Justin Watson, and the Patriots. And the reason why I'm kind of high on Ronald Jones and Justin Watson at their cheaper price, one is on Jones is there's actually been some chatter out of Tampa Bay that they are going to use him as a pass catcher this week because of their lack of their receiving core. And Justin Watson has the best CB matchup on the board. And I don't think that he's going to be heavily owned in this tournament. I think his teammate, Pyramid, is going to be like 80 or 90% owned. But I think Watson, who actually had 5 receptions when Mike Evans went out the week prior, could have a bigger game than Pyramid. And by pivoting to him, and I think he's a chance to really set yourself different than other lineups in this tournament.
Deshaun Watson, Devin Singletary, Mostert, Cooper Kupp, Cole Beasley, George Kittle, Deebo Samuels, DeAndre Hopkins, New England Patriots defense. That's where I'm locked in this week.
Wait, one more time. Go.
Watson.
Yep.
Singletary.
Yep.
Mostert.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp, Cole Beasley, George Kittle, Deebo Samuels, DeAndre Hopkins, Patriots D.
I really like the Cole Beasley play there.
He's going to be chalky.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be the chalk of wide receivers. It's kind of the feeling I have. I'm looking at player ownership right now.
That's about the only place I consider paying down with Beasley at 8,300.
Well, there's a very interesting thing that I've been thinking about, and playing a 3-game slate's a little bit different than playing, your main slate where you're trying to spend every penny you have. I think in order to get a lineup that is different from the field, playing a single entry or a large tournament it's okay to leave money on the table.
Yep.
I think it's okay to leave like $1,100, $1,300 on the table. You need to, if you want to differentiate your lineup in any way, shape, or form. I think you almost have to do that. I do not see.
I have a very similar lineup for DK for Saturday.
I haven't done my Saturday line for DK yet.
And I think the difference over there is Emmanuel Sanders and the Bills defense. It's Watson, Mostert, Singletary, Kupp, Samuels, Beasley, Kittle, Sanders, and the Bills. Slightly different.
Well, why don't we go through here and build this lineup?
Yes, let's do that.
Let me go back to the lobby.
Let's
enter this. This is Sunday only. Oh, can I not get into Saturday?
No, you can.
Oh, okay.
It's the second one.
Yeah. Draft new lineup. All right, so we all seem to be in agreement that it's one of the two quarterbacks, Watson versus Winston. Webby and I seem to be on the Watson side. Dan, you seem to be on the Winston side.
for this lineup, I don't care. I mean, because I already have Winston, and really want Watson. Winston to me is it's a coin flip. It's so, and the price is very similar.
You save $300 by going with Watson, who should put up the same amount of points as Winston.
Right, and I think that the argument for Watson is that he has a receiving core that he's used to playing with.
Yeah.
Where Winston, the argument for Winston is he's putting up 35 points a week recently, so he's getting it done. But he's also
30 and 30, the first NFL player to achieve that mark.
Yeah.
He will achieve it in the next 2 weeks. 30 touchdowns versus 30 interceptions.
Yeah. And he's, 3 of the last 4 weeks, 29 points. He had 11 against Jacksonville. That's a tougher defense. 40 against Indianapolis and 36 against Detroit last week. So he's been on fire. And you know what? Thanks to him, I drafted him like in the 13th round in my money league, and I'm in the championship game this week.
Hey, that's great. So, Webb, I want you to give me your game theory and logic on why you are playing Devin Singletary.
Singletary. Hold on. Let me go back over there. What I like about Singletary this week. Can't you give me that full screen, please? Hold on a second. Thank you. Where the hell was it? He's leading the Bills' backfield right now in carries. There is word that he'll be used as a passing receiver this week also. 6 or 7 targets coming out of the backfield. It's a tough matchup against the Patriots, but Patriots don't really seem to be protecting the run as much in the last couple of weeks. You saw that their defense has been doing nothing. Last week was the first week that they put up points as a defense in how many? I like the fact that, if you look at last week's game against Baltimore, which is a much better defense, probably one of the best in the league, he was able to get through that line for almost 90 yards and caught 6 out of the backfield. I see the same thing happening this week against the Patriots. And the Patriots are just a god-awful team.
That's a really interesting take. My concern is that the Patriots have only allowed 1 rushing and 1 receiving touchdown to running backs.
That's true.
The entire year.
Yeah.
But I certainly like the volume. And it's interesting is I look at last week of, 21 carries, but still only 9 fantasy points. So,
yeah.
My concern is that it could be a very similar situation this week, but the price is right. And you could be right that maybe, the Patriots defense is not what it was earlier on in the season. A part of that is that, the offense is certainly struggling, so that the defense has to be on the field a lot more. I don't mind having a share of him. I have my concerns, but I get your logic as well, especially if he's being used as a pass catcher.
That's the word. You never know. It's the Patriots that they're playing, so every team, either the Patriots do it the best and designate everybody as injured or questionable, and I'm sure it's going to be the same thing coming from the opposite side of the ball of, hey, we're going to put this rookie in and pass to him all day long, and he never sees a snap.
Well, look, it's the same reason why I'm, playing Peyton Barber is where he's going to be used as a pass catcher. But
right, I heard the same thing.
Well, I have an interesting pivot off of Barber, and Barber and Singletary just to save a shit ton of money and go after, give you the flexibility to go after higher end wide receiver, so to speak, and that's Duke Johnson at 8,600.
He's just not seeing the ball, and I know Carlos Hyde is questionable.
He's also the pass catching back.
Yeah, but he hasn't been seeing the ball. Pass catching back, he caught 2 last week. He's been the pass catching back for 2 weeks. After that, it's like, here you go, dink and dunk for 8 yards because we got no one else to throw to, and you're standing there going, can I get involved in this game?
Again, I'm also talking a contrarian tournament play.
I get that. Okay, so 3 weeks ago against the Patriots, he scores 20 points.
Well,
And
because
that's at 5 receptions for 54 yards and a TD.
Right,
So
touchdown.
could you do that against Tampa Bay? Well, Tampa Bay has a really good run defense. But how good is it against, pass catching running backs? We should take a look at that. It'll take me a second to pull that up.
Webb, I noticed you didn't mention Gurley, so you have no interest in Gurley going against San Fran this week?
Nope. Absolutely not.
But you like the other side of the ball and Mostert over. See, another contrarian way you could go is go down and take Matt Breida. Guy's scoring 12.9 fantasy points a game when he's healthy.
Yeah, and he seems to be back in that game a bit.
I mean, the one that I think is losing the most here is Tevin Coleman, and because I said that, he's going to come out tomorrow and score 4 touchdowns.
I believe I have him in the lineup too. The problem I see with Breida is I think they have lost confidence in him, especially after last week's 2 fumbles.
Okay.
That was uncharacteristic. And what did he put up last week? 2 points?
Well, once you start fumbling, you lose faith from the coach, and you're not playing in that game.
Yeah.
You saw that with Melvin Gordon, who coughed up the ball how many times? 3?
Well, yeah, I don't like him.
So I just pulled this up here. The Bucks have allowed the 4 fewest passing yards running backs at 443 yards and 1 TD, while Houston has allowed the 3rd most at 791 yards and 8 TDs.
Makes me like Ronald Jones even more. My problem with that backfield is it's such an even split between Jones and Peyton Barber?
Yeah, but I'm looking at is Peyton Barber going to be the primary rusher and Jones the receiver?
Now, which piece of straw is shorter?
I know it's.
If Jones couldn't rush against the Lions, how do you expect him to rush against Houston? What did he run last week? 11 times for 23 yards, 24 yards?
And he had 1 reception for 26 yards against the Lions, who's atrocious at both stopping the run in his back. In fact, they are the second. They've allowed 796 yards and 8 TDs at receiving running back. So the matchup was there last week, and it was not exploited. The only reason why I'm willing to go back to the well this week is because they are openly talking about it.
Yeah, coaches speak.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a trap or not, but it's something that I'm taking into consideration.
The Ronald Jones move. Then you go back to the Indy game, which was another good matchup for him, and 11 for 36.
Yeah, see, I have no faith in the Tampa Bay run game. That's why I'm always a naysayer when it comes to it, because it could be the Peyton Barber game, or it could be, what's the other guy? Juni
Yes.
Ogunbowale.
Yes.
They're Ogunbowale. Where's it at? I have. It reminds me of a Patriots backfield where do you go? I've some of the industry guys like us are saying this is the week for Sony Michel. Exactly. It's like, burn me once, shame on me. Burn me twice, shame on you. Like Sony Michel has burned me like 17 times all season. Why would I go down that road again?
Yeah, see, I just can't trust any of the Buccaneers running backs. They cannot run the ball.
But you're talking about a small tournament.
Yes.
And I would say there is if you want to play him at the min price at 6,000, not horrible.
Not horrible, but I don't think you get enough points.
I think your best you're getting is a 1x return, but he could walk into the end zone. You're at 2x. That's
I get it, because then you can throw in the likes of a Gurley, and you can squeeze DeAndre Hopkins and John Brown in. You can grab 2 other high-priced players that should give you that 2 times value.
Right.
But I think
I put somebody like James White in the flex, so you're getting at least a solid base of the receptions there.
When you look at all the high-priced flyers here,
The problem is nobody's in good matchups for the most, unless you just go and say, you know what, I'm just going to stack this Tampa Bay Texans game and hope it goes to 60 points.
Exactly. I just see other value in places. I mean, how do you not slide in Cooper Kupp at 10-5?
No,
I do not like Cooper Kupp's matchup, and I do not like the way the Rams have been utilizing their wide receivers. That entire situation. If you go back and you look at Cooper Kupp's numbers, up until I think it's last week, he was barely getting 65 yards per game.
Right, he's not. You're right, but he sees the end zone every game in those last 3.
See, when you're talking that game, this is why I think I would be more inclined to get on Gurley. Gurley has played 96% of the offensive snaps, received 18 opportunities last week.
Yep.
He's ranked tied for 15th most opportunities per game at 18. He's a dual threat, can catch and can rush. I think he is probably a lock in this slate. You have to have a share of Gurley someplace. If you're mass entering, you need to have Gurley in at least, I would say, 40% of your lines, 50% of your lines.
And the matchup is horrible, but it's the opportunity he's getting. That's what I wrote in the article. I mean, it's that.
Yeah. And the same thing for Singletary. Singletary is receiving the past 2 weeks, 25 and 24 opportunities. He's the workhorse. He's guaranteed volume, which honestly, isn't that what we're looking for? So I would be in this line. I would try and go, if you like the value at wide receiver with like a Cole Beasley or, Ronald Jones or Sony Michel, Duke Johnson, however we end up finding volume or value. Right. I think the 2 backs to put in this line would be Gurley and Singletary. My opinion.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I personally feel Gurley is going to be shut down and double teamed. Especially after last week's poor performance by the Niners inside the 30. And they couldn't move balls. They couldn't do much of anything inside that 30.
Yeah, but it's the Rams, not the Niners.
Well, I see him being doubled up and shut down in that game.
Well, then that opens up, Robert Woods, Higbee, Gurley, Cook, or Cooper Kupp, Cook.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I'm staying away from Gurley this week is I believe the game script is going to be to shut him down.
I think the game script there is just to take Goff out of the game. Not put the game in Goff's hands, to take Goff out of the game. Because they're banged up in the secondary. So I think 49ers are going to put on, the gas on the pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, well, see, that's the other thing. I mean, you got the injury report of Goff with a bruised thumb on his throwing hand. Knowing that...
More volume for Gurley.
More opportunity to try and shut him down. Force the pass.
All right, well, we're in agreement on Singletary.
Yeah.
Dan, do you have any way to sway this either to Gurley or away from Gurley?
I kind of agree that the volume. Well, I played Gurley because of the volume, and I could make the argument for Singletary, and I agree with you. You want a share of Singletary.
I think you want to share Gurley too, just because of volume.
Right, and I have a share.
I mean, it's such a weak running back slate. I don't know if it's the place to get kitschy with it.
Yeah. Another cheap flex option would be the third Tampa Bay wide receiver, and Ismail Hyman, I think is his name.
Hyman, yeah.
Buster Hyman.
Yeah, just he has a great matchup, and he's promoted off the practice squad last week. So he's another guy that nobody's going to be on in terms of a tournament play.
How do we feel about James White?
I love his consistency. That's the
Webb, any opinion either way?
I like White. I like White. I've run him quite a few times, and it's panned out well. But the last 2 weeks, there's just no usage. All right, the Kansas City game, they used him a lot for passing, coming out of the backfield.
He did okay last week at 15 points.
15 points with 6 touches on the ball. 3-3. Was able to get that touchdown.
That saved his day.
Yeah, which I think was on what, a 20-yarder or something like that.
It opened the game with a touchdown.
Yes.
21 yards or 26 yards, something like that.
23. Yeah, it was 23-yard touchdown pass. So you take that out, and what does that leave him with receiving for the rest of the day? 27, 26.
The things to consider, like he went off against Houston, third worst against receiving running backs. He did okay against Kansas City, the worst against receiving running backs.
Yeah,
but the Bills are in the top third against receiving running backs. So,
and I personally think this is a must-win Bills game. In fact, I'm putting Buffalo.
Bills need to win if they want the division. How bad do they want the division is what it boils down to. They're already in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, this is true, but considering
how bad do they want the division and take it away from New England?
Wouldn't you? You haven't done it since 1999.
That's huge.
All right, how do we feel about Mostert?
I like him more than Gurley actually this week.
Me too.
All right, Mostert's in there. Now
so
we've got
Mostert and Singletary's in there.
We got Watson, Singletary, and Mostert. I think the one I'm going to put this out there right now. I think the best play at tight end is Kittle.
Yes.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about paying $11.9 for Tyler Higbee.
Even though he's had 3 games in a row with over 100 yards.
Amazing game, yeah.
Yeah.
But San Fran's also the top 2 defense against tight end.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm going to put Kittle in there.
If you're going to pay down, you're going to go down to
O.J. Howard
with the thought he's going to get targets because of the receiving core there.
That's kind of where I went in my instead of going to the Justin Watson route, I went the O.J. Howard route.
Here's the problem: is I'm fairly certain that Kittle's going to get you 15 points, where Howard may get you 3, and that's in a slate that's just hard to make up that difference.
I'm putting Kittle in there so we can have an idea of real dollars here. So Watson, Singletary, Mostert, Kittle. I'd like to come back in that San Fran game with something on the other side. I'd also like to stack somebody with Watson. Unless you guys feel we should just go naked Watson.
No, why not? Let's look at the
I really like Hopkins this week. I think
I do too.
Almost a must play, but you also have Kenny Stills, Will Fuller. He's questionable, but I'm expecting him to play.
Kenny Stills has the best matchup. But Hopkins has a decent matchup too. But if you want to save some, I mean, if you want to go, you could go Hopkins and Stills if you're playing Watson.
That's interesting.
DeAndre Hopkins a must play.
All right, then I'm putting him in. That leaves us a wide receiver, 2 flexes, and a defense. Do we want any part of the other side of that game, that Houston game, and take someone like Brashard Perryman or Justin Watson?
Not me. I want nothing to do with the other side of that ball. That game's going to be a blowout.
No, you think it's a blowout?
I think that game's going to blow up and be a high-scoring game either way. Winston's going to throw the ball. Where's he throwing it is the question.
To the other team's hands.
There's no Godwin. There's no
but he's
Evans.
Throw 400 yards
that leaves Brashard Perryman.
And 3-4 interceptions.
What do we have here? Brashard Perryman, Justin Watson, and Ishmael Hyman.
Yeah, I'm going to put my faith in any one of them.
Perryman?
Yeah.
Proved it to you last week with 4 touchdowns.
3.
Week before that, what do you do the week before that?
3 for 70 with a touchdown.
3 for 70 with a touchdown, and that was still the game that you had Evans and Godwin in.
Evans went out of that game, did he not hurt?
Yep.
Yeah, but when Evans went out, it was the other receiver, Justin Watson, who had stepped in for Evans and had 5 receptions.
And then Godwin went out of that game too, yes?
Yes.
Right, so he was the only person to throw to.
Perryman, and You got Perriman, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, Justin Watson, and Ishmael Hyman.
Right.
I just like saying that name. I'm not playing him. He's not on the radar.
I mean, they have no wide receiving core.
Perriman scored 37 points last week, 16 the week before, 13 the week before that. Even when, I don't know, it's
at 10-5, I would play. I would play a Perriman just to get a piece of that other side of the game.
I'm not opposed to it. Look, he's their number one receiver, and he's the only guy who's going to catch the ball because everyone else is going to drop it or get intercepted.
How many interceptions are you putting out there this week, Webb?
Oh, at least 3.
Is he going to get his 30 this week? How many does he need for 30?
That I don't know. Quarterback, who's this, Winston?
Yeah.
Oh, he needs 6.
So is he going to? We need him to get 6 by the end of the season. That's 2 games.
Yeah. And who do they play next?
I don't know.
It's
Saints. Do they close the season against the Saints? Somebody in a division.
That might be the Saints game. And now with the Saints' new defense, that could be dangerous.
All right. I'm going to put Perriman in. We can always swap him out. With 2 flexes and a defense, we have $8,733 to spend.
Perriman. Okay. I'm buying it. Can we just put the Patriots defense in now and see what we got left?
Yeah. What do you guys think about Kenny Stills as the second wide receiver there? The double stack.
9,700 with the Patriots D.
And you're looking at Kenny Stills in the flex spot.
Else did you have at wide? You have Hopkins and who else?
Perriman.
Okay. I just have Perriman in the flex. Same thing.
Kenny Stills. Doesn't leave me enough to argue for Cooper Kupp.
How much is Kupp?
10-5. That means fading from New England and going down to Tampa Bay.
Actually, I'd go to the Houston side.
Houston side leaves an extra $1,000 or 800. Kenny Stills, huh?
9,900.
And where's Will
Kupp
Fuller?
over Woods? Well, I don't think we could make up that salary to get Woods at 11-4.
Just trying to figure out where Kenny Stills falls into this.
Let's look at the matchups again. The best matchup of the Rams wide receivers is actually Brandon Cooks.
He's just too streaky. And if what Webby said is true about a bum thumb, I don't even think Goff's going to be able to get the ball downfield to Cook.
Well, look, he's practicing full. He's taking all reps, but he is injured. Listed as questionable with a bruised throwing thumb. I mean, does that factor in? I don't know. You know, you make your own decision on whether or not that factors in.
Is Sherman playing?
I think no, right? I don't think he's playing. Isn't he done? Kenny Stills. I mean, he's been relegated to the 3rd receiver on that team.
But look at his recent game logs. I mean, he's got. I mean, there's a lot of duds in there, but there's.
I know he's had shining moments of 17 points.
Woods played 100% of the offensive snaps last week. He's seen 18 targets over the past 2 weeks. His usage tells us he is the most trustworthy Rams wide receiver right now.
It's a lot of salary to make up if you go a Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, after shockingly only playing 29% of the offensive snaps in Week 14, Kupp returned to his usual dominant usage last week, playing on 92% of the snaps. Ranked 16 in the league for targets per game at 8.5. Cooks hasn't produced as long as his ownership percentage is guaranteed to be low. More of a tournament process, blah, blah, blah. Cooks is 71% of the offensive snaps. Saw 8 targets last week.
Yeah, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown, 16 points.
Justin Watson, 55% and 56% of the snaps over the past 2 weeks.
Patriots deep back in.
I think more. What was it last week?
Let's see. 2 weeks ago, he caught 5 of 8 targets, 59 yards, and a TD. 10 targets over the past 2 weeks. Only one fewer than Perryman at 11. And a lot of people will forget that he offers upside based on the shitty game he had last week.
Right. That's.
I'm just trying to work this in different ways here and see what we got. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to work at throwing Robert Woods in there.
Okay, so if you were to put Justin, so I put Justin Watson in the flex. That allow and you have the Patriots defense. Now you have 11-4 exactly left for John Brown.
I want no part of Brown. He's going to have Stephon Gilmore. No way. That guy's going to probably end up being the MVP, defensive MVP of the league. I don't want any part of him.
Yeah, less than a fantasy point per target. So
yeah, no thanks.
I mean, I guess you
I don't like
for Robert Woods.
So here,
oh, wait, what about we haven't looked at Cole Beasley and spotted him?
Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders.
I like Manny Sanders, but that's a lot of shares of that San Fran game. Like if we're going to Emmanuel Sanders, I'd rather go James White and save the $200 to get a piece of that Bills Patriots game.
Well, the thing about James White is that you figure he's giving him like a 1x base, and he could get you 30. I mean,
where are we going here? Kenny Stills? Cole Beasley at 8,300.
Justin Watson move isn't bad. I mean, he is a rookie.
Okay, if you go Justin Watson and put James White in the flex, you have 6,800 left, or you have 7,000 left, so you still have the Patriots defense. So it'd be Watson, Mostert, Singletary, Hopkins, Watson, Kittle, Perryman, White, Patriots.
We got Perryman in there. Is Justin Watson a smart move? I mean, I know he's going to.
Are we not? Are we off of Cup now?
I'm trying to work this in different ways.
I mean, you put Cup in there, that leaves 8,900. At 8,900, you can go get Ronald Jones is 8,800. Duke Johnson's 8,600. Cole Beasley's 8,300. Breda 8,300.
All right, so Cup.
I mean, there's plenty of value down low.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of where you want to go with it.
Right, and what's the good pick? I mean, I see what you're saying. What are we left with? 8,900?
8,900, and that's with Patriots. That's not even pivoting off Patriots yet.
All right, so you'd have Hopkins, Cup, Kittle, Perryman, Ronald Jones, Patriots. Leaves 100.
Ronald Jones.
I kind of like that. I mean, and I actually like, because of the matchup, I think that Jones may do as well or not better than James White this week.
Just hate having any share of the Tampa running game.
But it's a 3-game slate with.
All right, let me ask you this, Webb.
Matchups. I mean, it's
Duke Johnson or Ronald Jones.
I know Carlos Hyde is out most likely in that game. I mean,
No, he was limited in practice yesterday, so I'm not sure that he's out.
well, he'll be questionable for that game. It most likely be a game time decision. That ankle is bad. You saw that. It's bad. You know, and he hasn't been able to run the ball. They've really been using him more so to catch out of the backfield. What did he have? 3 attempts in the last 2 weeks? 4 attempts in the last 2 weeks? Something like that. Damn, I'd rather have Cole Beasley in there.
I don't know if I want to have a running back up against the Tampa Bay defense.
Cole Beasley fits and leaves 600 on the table. I don't mind that.
You'd rather have Beasley than who?
It's Watson, Singletary, Mostert, Hopkins, Perryman, Kittle, Kupp, Beasley, Patriots.
I mean, okay, so we're talking 8,900 on the table, and it leaves you slim pickings at Ronald Jones, Duke Johnson, Matt Breida, Philip Dorsett. And if you really want the balls, you go down and take Justin Watson, who I don't think sees the workload that he should. And then it's...
Well, I already have a share of him in the other.
Then it's Peyton Barber, who I'm not opposed to because he's definitely getting more of the workload.
How about N'Keal Harry?
Now you're going real down. Where is N'Keal Harry?
9,200.
It's 92.
You'd have to go off the Patriots D to get him. Right there with Mohamed Sanu.
2 for 15, 2 for 22. And they're obviously starting to use him more. Last week he played, half a game? So I think Cole Beasley gives you better value.
Yeah, I like this line.
I think Cole Beasley gives you better value. You know you're going to get your 12 to 16 out of him.
Are we all in agreement?
All right, let's go through it more time because I'm missing a player. So
All right,
it's Watson,
Watson, Singletary, Mostert, Hopkins, Perryman, Kittle, Kupp, Beasley, Patriots. 600 on the table.
I'll take that. That's fine.
All right. Lock it in. All right, why don't we move on over to Sunday Main? See if we can build this one.
Let me give you the parlay for Saturday first.
Yeah, go ahead. I gotta line this up anyway.
Okay. Why isn't it showing it to me? Damn you. Am I not logged in? You know, why do they kick you out constantly?
You can only be in for 10 minutes of idle time. It's just like a bank.
I'm so retarded. I mean, I'm sitting here with a window live. Don't kick me out. Come on. Here we go. The hell? So this week, for the Saturday slate, the parlay that I've locked in is the 49ers over the Rams, the Houston Texans over the Buccaneers, and the Buffalo Bills over the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I like that parlay. I think I'm in on that.
Yeah. Not as heavy on it as I was last week because I've taken the Bills on the money line. So the $100 I put on a parlay, I've split 50-50. A $50 parlay on those three teams should pay you out somewhere around $376. Bills
That'd
on the
be
money
nice.
line. The Bills on the money line, I grabbed it plus 245. So 50 pays 172.
Still nice.
Yeah, so it's a $500 day if everything goes right on $100.
Dan, you can't sports bet in Cali, right?
I don't even try, so I don't even. I mean, I'm able to do this this new thing that which is
That's fantasy. That's not gambling.
So I know that I can't do it at the local Indian casinos. So
No sports book? No room?
there's no sports book. No, there's just there's off track betting for horses,
Of course.
and then they run no betting, but they'll run like pick'em tournaments for promo purposes.
All right, Sunday, main slate. This is going to be interesting. A lot of games that have zero implication on anything. A lot of games that mean nothing. Even teams that have now decided, let's see what our rookie quarterback can do. One of those teams being Carolina. Will Greer is getting the start for Carolina versus Indy.
So does that make you really like Christian McCaffrey or scared to pay up and use him?
I think it gives you the flexibility to go get McCaffrey.
Oh, that'd be an interesting stack. Greer McCaffrey.
I'm not on McCaffrey at all this week, though.
No, neither am I. But
I think they're just going to stack the box, and that's game over for that entire.
Yeah.
You cannot bet a sports book in California.
Okay. Where do I like this week? I kind of like. You want to pay up? Go get Russ Wilson. You want mid-tier guys? Fitzmagic. He's just going to sling the ball. They are playing Cincy, two teams that have nothing to play for, but who wants to play worse to get the number one pick?
I certainly think that that is an interesting play. Is
either side of that game, Andy Dalton or Fitzpatrick.
Right, are great value options. Another great value option is Tannehill against the Saints.
I don't know. That defense has been playing tough, and now that they've got Janoris Jenkins on the other side of Lattimore, I think that secondary just took a huge step forward.
And DJ Swearinger?
At safety, he's been cut all over the season, bro. I don't know what DJ Swearinger you're getting. He's been cut by 3 teams already this season. When you put that out there, I was like, oh, shit, where's he been? He hasn't played since he took him basically the month of October off.
Why was he cut from the Redskins?
I don't know.
Because he opened his mouth and bashed the organization.
And why was he cut from Oakland?
And wait, let me finish. And what happened in Washington? After they cut him, he was right, and they're starting to clean house there. Okay? So that was more of you don't talk bad about the organization when everybody saw the writing on the wall with that team anyway. Except for me, if you remember, I picked them I put a bet on them to win the division, thought they were going to go good, still backed it up with Dallas. But Oakland, issues with the coach, as usual, with anybody who plays for Gruden. If you blink at him the wrong way, we're going to get rid of you. 10-year plan with him, right? And they felt they didn't need him there. He only played, 4 games?
Hey, I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is, what Swearinger are you getting? Yeah, your secondary is greatly improved, which is going to shy me away from Tannehill.
You're getting the Swearinger that has 46 tackles this year, or you're getting a pretty decent Swearinger. The question is, how much will they use him this week, if at all? You heard the name Janoris Jenkins last week. Did he ever step onto the field? No.
But he will this week.
He will this week because he's had that week and a half of practice. Me personally, quarterback, I think your biggest and best move is Drew Brees.
Well, that's who I'm on.
Yep.
You look at the Brees Thomas stack has provided 70 points each of the last 2 weeks.
All right, I'm putting Brees in. I'm putting Thomas in because I was going to say Thomas anyway. I have ideas of mates at wide receiver. I really like Devontae Parker this week. I also kind of like Courtland Sutton going against Detroit. I was actually going to say if you wanted a value play, go get Drew Lock against Detroit.
The Drew Lock move is good for value. There's no doubt about that. He's going to get you 20.
I mean, right now we've spent $29,400 on 2 positions.
Yep, that's my lineup.
Running back this week, I kind of like the Kenyon Drake move against Seattle.
Lock it in. That's in my lineup.
Dan, who do you like?
Let's see here. I think not in the article, but I think Marlon Mack is an interesting option. And then who I focused in on for value, because it looks like Josh Jacobs is out. So DeAndre Washington against the Chargers, I really like at 7,800. And I like Mixon and Barkley. And I kind of like Austin Eckler, too, against the Raiders, who struggle against pass-catching running backs.
Yep, he's in my lineup.
And I wouldn't be afraid to have a share of Alvin Kamara.
So I'm kind of like on the...
I mean, Kamara, if you're playing Breezes in it, I mean, just kind of adds to that stack. So, and, he's still a top 12 running back, despite the fact he only has one touchdown all season long. So you have a game where he goes off for a couple touchdowns. There you go.
So give me two guys, because I also like Freeman from the Falcon Jaguar game.
Well, let's create one guy right now, and that's DeAndre Washington at 7,800. So we have some money to play with.
7,800.
Unfortunately, this is exactly like my lineup that I built for
I don't know if you need to create value this week to put players in. I've actually left 700 on the table.
All right, Drew Brees, DeAndre Washington, Mike Thomas. Webby, give me a running back.
The two I'm hot on this week, hands down, is Kenyon Drake and Austin Eckler.
Okay.
That's who I've stuffed. Both of those guys in my lineup.
I'm taking Dan's DeAndre Washington. I'm taking your Austin Eckler.
Okay.
Another wide receiver. I gave you who I like. Cortland Sutton and Devontae Parker.
Throw out a few names here. Anthony Miller.
The Bears. Gotta like Julio, but I don't think you can afford him.
Michael Gallup, if Dak Prescott is playing, covered by Ronald Darby.
Gallup just hasn't produced anything in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Kenny.
Okay, you throw out the Chicago game, but after that, it's 3 weeks of duds.
What about DK Metcalf?
Another dud. Look at his game lines. I stared at him long and hard.
Go ahead, Dan. Who else you want to throw out there?
That's Saturday. Let's see. Cruising down my matchup list here. Oh, Sterling Shepard, isn't it? It's got a ton of targets lately, covered by Fabian Moreau, who's allowed over 2 points per target. I think Shepard's one of those guys who could go off at like 0 to 1% ownership and have a 20 to 30 point game.
I like the opposite side of the field on that for 9,200. Darius Slayton.
Who's playing quarterback?
We don't know yet. It's either Jones or Manning, and it don't matter because they're going to throw the ball to him. If it's Jones, it's even better because that's his go-to receiver, which Eli Manning seemed to have learned over the last 2 weeks.
Well, okay, you said there was a little change here in the coverage in New Orleans. So is PJ Williams still covering the slot in New Orleans?
I believe he is. They didn't cut him.
So you have, he's allowed over 2 fantasy points to target, and Adam Humphries is like men's salary at 6.
Adam Humphries, who?
Yeah, that's.
I'd rather go DJ Moore. No value, but I think no one's going to be on him because of Will Grier. Again, spending a large chunk of money on a player. All right, I'll give you your value. You guys can. Let's see here.
Yeah, they don't even. Who'd you say? PJ Williams?
Yes.
Yeah, he's.
Oh, I think I just found a diamond in the rough.
Who?
He's still there.
It's a name that I literally went, who? This guy had 11 targets last week. Steven Sims Jr. And he is being covered by Corey Ballantyne, who allows 2.25 points per target.
That's Washington, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I looked at him too.
He's somebody's going to be like a 0% owned guy.
The only issue I have with him, 11 targets, only 5 catches. Granted, it was for 45 and a touchdown. But
$7,800.
yeah, I know. But is the
And at $8,000, you could go up and take Randall Cobb at $8,000.
I think with Smith Jr., and I'm not opposed to it, but he needs to see the end zone or you're getting 4 points.
What about John Ross and Cincy game?
Oh, love that play. Yes, he's in my article. I mean, he's
$8,300.
And my only concern about that game is the possible rain.
In Miami, it's still going to be warm. It's not going to be cold.
So,
And
but
it's Miami.
wind's more of the issue.
I'll check the weather on that game right now. Miami game, 74 degrees, possible light rain.
Okay, not so concerned.
14-mile-an-hour wind.
I'm putting John Ross in there. I think that's that opens up some salary for us. Who do you like at tight end this week?
Only one guy.
Zach
Ertz. Nope. Zach Ertz
against Dallas?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. I think there are a number of tight end options here that are all in like the mid 8,000 range.
Sure. Jared Cook, Henry Hunter.
Austin
Hooper.
Jacob Hollister against Arizona, 8,500. As you mentioned, Hunter Henry. And then, Austin Hooper, his prices come way down, but he still has a 15.5 point average, and he's at 8,400.
I like the Hooper play at 8,400.
I'm actually running 2 tight ends in my lineup this week. It's Zach Ertz and Henry Hunter.
You like the Hooper play?
I like the Hooper play.
Yeah, Hooper's another great choice.
I'm going to put Hooper in. So let's go pick a defense because right now we have 11,500 on the table for 3 slots. So
7.5 each.
Yeah, 11.5 each.
Yeah. I right now, I mean, I'm all the way up at the Steelers or Baltimore. I mean, I have one share of Pittsburgh. Wouldn't mind having a share of Baltimore against Cleveland, which I think is just totally give it up.
I think you take the match. Go for the Saints at 4,900. That's where I'm at.
Is that a homer call, or let's see the?
No, I like the matchups.
It's at Tennessee. It's not even in the dome. If it were in the dome, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, I understand that. That defense is looking stronger and stronger, and I think you're going to see it more this week. And at the
what's the weather for that game? Because that's an outdoor game.
Hold on. Orleans. 49 degrees, mostly cloudy, 4-mile-an-hour wind out of the northeast.
I kind of want to go beat up on the Jets.
By the end of the game, the temperature should be 51.
What's the weather in New York?
Look out your window. The Jet game, 38 degrees, clear skies, 5-mile-an-hour wind.
Do you think Pittsburgh just destroys and makes Bradford see things again?
Yeah.
It's quite possible.
Do you think it's worth $7,000?
I do. No. I mean, I look.
They're going to give up 21 points. I don't see that. I don't see them.
Okay, then what about Baltimore and Cleveland?
What's the game total for that? 37.5 over under.
Yeah, it's an over game all day long.
Pittsburgh 22-5.
Really, I'm going to take the over on that game right now. 37. log in to place bet. Jesus Christ.
All right, this is what I'm going to do. We can pivot down, but I'd rather have... I'm going to put Pittsburgh in because that's most expensive. That leaves us $13,850 for our 2 flex spots. So let me toss some high-priced names out there for you. Chris Carson, 16-1. Saquon Barkley, 15-1. Kamara, 13-9. Fournette, 13-6. Joe Mixon, 12-8, who's been very, very quietly doing things. Marlon Mack, 12-5. Devonta Freeman, 11-3. Melvin Gordon, 10-6.
Well, do we have... you guys are all on Kenyon Drake, right? Would you rather have Drake or Mixon? I think I'd want Mixon.
Mixon against Miami?
Yeah.
Webb, opinion?
Put it in there. Put it in there.
He is questionable. I don't know why.
Yeah.
He came up with, on the injury report yesterday,
If it's a leg, I'm not interested in him anymore.
calf.
Not interested.
Oh, yeah, that is a calf injury, and he's questionable. Played all the reps, but...
I'd rather pivot off him if that's the case and go after Devonta Freeman at 11-3. Save even more cash.
Okay. Now we have 16,400 left for Chris Carson.
Against Arizona?
Yep.
Carson, Zeke, Julio,
Saquon Barkley.
Barkley. I don't know, Webb. How do you feel about Kamara? Does he make it happen?
I don't know. I don't know. The faith in him this year.
Ever since he got hurt, he's not the same player.
Yeah, 152 attempts at it's less than 700 rushing yards, 1 touchdown.
Kenyon Drake at $13,000.
You got Devonta Freeman in the flex.
Yeah.
Any interest in Marlon Mack at 12.5? That would leave 15.2 for Julio Jones or Saquon Barkley.
We could fit Julio right now. Or Saquon. With Devonta Freeman. I mean, we can go. It's looking like we can either go up from John Ross, Hooper, or DeAndre Washington.
Well, I was going up from the other.
Webb, how do you feel about Barkley, Jones, Elliott, or Carson?
I hate Saquon Barkley. You know that. Okay. I mean, Dan hit it on the head last week with Saquon, and I shot it down. And he did have a good game. But he hasn't had a game like that in 6 weeks.
Well, he's also dealing with a high ankle.
And he's dealing with the New York Giants, who are atrocious. And a quarterback controversy.
No, he was dealing with Miami last week, but he has a great matchup this week too. He averaged.
It's tough because I like the Chris Carson move, but you almost need him to get 30 to 32 points.
Just to achieve 2x, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and he's not he got 29 last week, but he was in a smash spot, and that is his highest of the year.
What about Fournette on the other side of the Atlanta game at 13-6?
What about Tyreek Hill against the Bears?
Name I really didn't think about.
I mean, I know it's not the best matchup in the world.
Well, he's not Kyle Fuller. It's a very good matchup.
I kind of like that.
You like Hill?
I like Tyreek Hill. I mean, again, it's not the best matchup. The personal matchup is good.
We have 1,500 to go up from either John Ross or DeAndre Washington.
I'm playing with something real quick.
Or we can go off of Hooper. Not really any place worthwhile, but...
Let me see if we pull Hooper. It's got a shitty matchup.
Well, if we pull Hooper, we're probably going up at tight end, and we're coming down on this end, which is.
I see.
I mean, we can
We'll
go
throw
off
one other wide receiver name out there who's hit the last couple weeks, and that's Mike Williams. Covered by Darryl. He's 10-4, covered by Darryl Worley, who's allowed 1.74 points per target.
I don't know if we can afford
We can't
him.
get 10-4.
No, we can. We just go off Pittsburgh.
Okay.
You know, he's had 19, 14, and 17 points in the last 3 weeks.
Where is he?
That's putting a lot of stock in that Charger Oakland game.
Yeah, and the Chargers are going to lose that game.
Well, if you think that's the case, then you figure they're going to be throwing the ball. So
Playing from behind, and we have two of the players. All right, so the minus 600, go off of Pittsburgh. That opens up 6,400. Jets defense, Washington, Colts, Miami, KC, Bears, Bengals. Where's Atlanta? Damn it, we can't afford them.
well, we don't have to. I mean,
Indy against the rookie QB, we can afford that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Indy against Pat Greer. Will Greer.
That's a nice call.
Indy's defense just gives up tremendous amount of yardage.
Other names, I mean, put out there, we can punt it, go down to Arizona against Seattle. Giants against Washington. Broncos against Detroit.
I don't
Can't
think it makes a
afford
lot of sense. You know, every time we punt defense, it really kind of hurts us. I would rather adjust here on the players and keep a defense that's likely going to score double digits.
So you want to keep Pittsburgh. You like Pittsburgh more than you like Mike Williams.
Well, I think you do make a good point. Do we already have Osteckler?
All right, I'll put Pittsburgh back in. I'll take Mike Williams out. And that puts us at 9,800, which puts us in the realm of Danny Amendola, Tyrell Williams, Sammy Watkins, Golden Tate, Darius Slayton. That'll make Webb happy.
It's not so much happy. I like the move with him this week.
How about Chris Connolly against Atlanta? Other side of that game.
Well, I played him last week because of the matchup.
I'd be happy with either Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, Anthony Miller. I don't really like the matchup, but Greg Ward.
Who did we land in on the other flex spot?
Tyreek Hill. I gave it to Webb this week.
Okay. So we're 12-8.
We have 9,800 left on the table. Drew Brees, DeAndre Washington, Austin Eckler, Mike Thomas, Austin Hooper, Devonta Freeman, Tyreek Hill, Pittsburgh Steelers defense. We're looking.
I thought we had
for
John Ross in there at wide receiver.
I had pulled John Ross out, and we went from Ross to.
That's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Right. So who's in there? I'm sorry. Who would you pull?
The names I put out there: Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, Chris Connolly, Greg Ward, Anthony Miller. We're still leaving a ton of money on the table, regardless of what we're doing here.
Who's covering Kenny Golladay?
So Anthony Miller is covered by Kendall Fuller, who's allowed almost 2.5 points per target. So that's a great play. I still think I don't know if I want to leave a ton of money on the table.
That's putting a lot of faith in Mitch Trubisky. And we all know how I feel about that. What about Tyrell Williams? Where's that at? The other side of that game.
Horrible matchup. You don't want to go there.
See, the Danny Amendola move isn't bad, but I want to know what's up with Golladay. I mean, last week Amendola was a great play because Golladay was tremendously covered. And that is against Denver.
Who's covering Tyrell Williams on your sheet? Over here I have Casey Hayward.
Let's see. I have Michael Davis.
Interesting how they're different. Devontae Parker, Boyd, Lockett, Greg Ward, James Washington, Terry McLaurin, can't afford him.
Well, I'm going to tell you who my two choices are in this situation. It's either Darius Slayton or Danny Amendola.
Slayton. Slayton won me one tournament. Let's see. JK. Nope, bad matchup. Quentin Dunbar.
So you're 1x value.
Yeah.
Maybe a touchdown.
Yeah.
Who's this for, Slayton?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about Golden Tate?
Also a bad matchup.
Amendola
or bust? Is that what you're saying?
Sterling Shepard, great matchup.
Can't afford him.
Well, we can make a change somewhere.
That's
going off your defense that you care so deeply about.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be. Okay, so we're all on, I guess, Hill. So let's put it.
We can punt Hill. I'm okay with that.
You want Sterling? Do you want a piece of the Giant game? Is that where we're going with this? That's where it sounds like both of you are at.
No,
if you're talking about matchups down there,
look,
play a Giants.
I have asked 4 times who's covering Amendola and where is Golladay in that matchup.
Okay, I'll try to figure that out.
Golladay was heavily covered last week, and Amendola shined. Now, I know this is Denver.
Good pass defense.
Oh, Golladay, great matchup. Chris Harris Jr., 2.2 points. Amendola has a good matchup as well, but Harris Jr. on Galladay's allowed a 60% catch rate, and 2.2 points, and Amendola 50% catch rate, 1.7 points. So Golladay is a certainly a nice play there.
Golladay fits. We lose 1,900. If we go off Tyreek, I'd love to get another running back in there. Do we put Mixon in with the idea that he's going to play, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic matchup, and that if he doesn't, we can change something on.
I mean, we could pivot off him and go to Devontae Parker at 12-7. We could pivot off him and go to Marlon Mack at 12-5. Or Amari Cooper at. I mean, all these guys have great matchups. Parker, Cooper, Mack, and Mixon are all in good spots.
if you want another running back, why not just punt the defense and take Cameron Drake?
Kenyon Drake?
Yep.
We only needed to save $100. Actually, that would give us a. How do you feel about that, Dan? That means going off Pittsburgh and going to Atlanta over Jacksonville would be the next best option. Or Seattle at Arizona, which I don't want to do that if we're going Drake. Broncos at Detroit.
No.
Well, it's at home. It's in Denver, but it's against Detroit.
But it's Denver.
I don't hate Atlanta at Jacksonville, actually.
All right, put that in, and then that gets us Kenyon Drake. And where is Kenyon Drake 13-1?
Okay, I think I got a little goofed up. So Breeze.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to you right now.
Okay.
Breeze.
Slowly.
Drew Brees. DeAndre Washington. Austin Eckler.
Okay.
Can't guard Mike.
Okay.
Kenny Galladay. Austin Hooper.
Okay.
Devonta Freeman. Kenyon Drake. Falcons defense.
All right. I like that.
Webb?
Oh, I could see some changes being made if I wanted to be a dick about it. As I'm looking.
Yeah, who do you want to change?
Well, I understand having a piece of that Atlanta game. But Austin Hooper?
He's in a great spot.
Okay. You go up $100 and you get Jacob Hollister against the Cardinals.
You want that?
And we have that 100. Yeah, we have that 100. I mean, I also like the Hunter Hurst Helmsley move in Oakland. And then punting defense to come down another one. But I'm okay with the Hollister move. I mean, it's a dynamite matchup.
Yeah.
Well, it's going back to our season-long narrative of you play the tight end against Arizona.
Yeah, I mean...
And that narrative works both ways because Seattle can't guard a tight end either. They actually grade worse over the past 3 weeks, or past 6 weeks than Arizona does.
It's true. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. I mean, we may lose points on that, or we may gain points.
Well, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, I like that.
And we're at 0. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want the lineup that I submitted to the tournament?
Our little tournament?
No, the $1 million maker here, or the 150,000.
Go ahead.
The lineup I have set in that is Drew Brees, Kenyon Drake, Austin Eckler, Michael Thomas, Darius Slayton, Zach Ertz, Adrian Peterson, Hunter Henry, and the New Orleans Saints defense.
I will drop mine that I build into Slack when I build that. I probably won't build that until Sunday morning.
That's where I'm at right now. I like the Adrian Peterson move. They have no other running back.
And I am not actually entering this lineup yet. I'm saving it because I have 4 free lineups coming my way. So why spend money?
All right, Webby, you got any picks for Sunday for these fine folks?
Oh, well, I'm going to have to log back in for that. Okay, Sunday's games. Parlay, 16 parlay. Baltimore Ravens over the Cleveland Browns. The New Orleans Saints over the Tennessee Titans. I really don't like that game. I'm going to stay away from it. Going to take the Dallas Cowboys over the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to go out on a limb and take the Colts over the Panthers. That should be 4 teams. We're going to throw the Sunday night game in there and take the Kansas City Chiefs over the Bears. And to round out the 6-team parlay in what could be a squeaker and a high-flying game, the Cincinnati Bengals get another win over the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, this is very interesting. We got one more week left, ladies and gentlemen, of real football, I guess you call it, before we get into the playoff DFS. We're all looking forward to that. We're going to start doing some prize pick stuff. Webby, are you still going to pull out a 16 parlay or a 6-event parlay? How are you going to work that? Or is it going to go down to 4 games?
We'll see how it pans out, but it's about the odds at that point. So we'll see how that works.
Alrighty, any parting words, gentlemen? We have, instead of doing our conviction plays, we have decided that we're doing a 3-man tournament on Fantasy Draft. $5 buy-in, winner takes all.
Yes.
We're kicking that off with a 3-game slate tomorrow. If we, based on that, we'll maybe do a Sunday.
Yeah.
I can set that up. It's actually really simple to set those up once you get in there and sort it out. With that said, this has been DFS Fantasy Foreplay Week 16. We gave you both Saturday and Sunday. And hopefully it all works out for you. Win some money. We know we will. With that, Merry Christmas. And we'll see you after the holiday. We're out.